Oh my god. Hello everybody. Jeez. Holy crap. What a night it's been. Trying to get all this stuff ready. I had everything going, had everything working perfectly, and all of a sudden I started having an issue and I don't know what happened. I really don't know. Just suddenly I wasn't getting any sound out of one of the amps, and it just I troubleshooted the hell out of it. I called Jamie Torino on the phone with him for a while trying to figure this out, and I don't know what happened. Something goofy happened and I can't figure it out. So I almost canceled the stream because I was like, well, what do I do? You know, I mean, what am I gonna hook up tonight? You know, but I do have, and I couldn't type in the stream because for some reason on my computer it wouldn't let me, send the message. So I copied the message, sent it to Jamie, and then he posted it in there for you guys. So thank you, Jamie, by the way, for all the help. Again, I apologize profusely. I worked all day on this, 2 days actually, getting all this stuff ready, and I don't know what the hell happened. I'm obviously a little frazzled right now, and trying to hide my ferocious temper right now about all this, but it is what it is, right? I mean, stuff happens when you go live. That's the thing about going live every week, is like, you never know what you're going to run into. You really don't. I mean, there's always going to be a chance for a major issue to happen, and tonight, oh my god, I got the mother load of major issues. So I'll read your questions and comments in a minute. I'll catch up to you guys, but again, I wanted to apologize profusely about being late. I don't like to keep people waiting, and this was a big episode. I was going to shoot out 2 major amps, and then I was going to shoot this guy out against this guy, and then I was going to also show how the Friedman amps compared to the Friedman Synergy modules, and I had everything sound checked and ready. All of it sounded perfect. I had perfect levels. Everything sounded great. I got 2 different cabs down here they're all mic'd, and everything's like, I got the tracks here, everything. And all of a sudden I always come down about a half an hour before I go live and, turn everything on, warm up, and then go. And as soon as I switched to the Friedman 100, I just got nothing. And I thought, oh, maybe loose cable, whatever. Checked everything, and I don't know. So, yeah, it's really weird. I'll find out tomorrow, though. Let me go on here and catch up with you guys. Again, sorry I'm so frazzled. I'm just really... Oh, hey, Ben. Thank you so much for the super chat. I really appreciate it. Jeff says, stuff happens, it's all good. Thanks, buddy. It's embarrassing. It's like, I worked so hard on this, and I advertised it all over the place, and it's like, great. I'm literally, like, green. I'm sick to my stomach right now over it. Well, I was going to just come on and tell you guys what's going on. Do you guys want me to proceed? I mean, I could play some tracks with the JJ Jr., and we can do that, and then I can switch to the MT. We can talk about how they compare, because this is a $1,500 amp. This is a $700 amp. It would be nice to see how they compare to each other, and especially at that price point. So that'd be kind of cool. This fan is driving me nuts over here. Let me go ahead and shut this off. Yeah. Okay. So, yeah, I wanted to see if you guys wanted me to at least just do this and just kind of salvage the show. And we'll have to figure something out with the JJ 100 maybe next time or something. Yeah, it's weird. What really sucks is when you get an amp from a store and something goes wrong, and then you're like, is this going to come on me? Or... because I had everything hooked up right, and it worked perfectly, so it's like, and you guys all know, tube amps, they just go. Stuff happens, and they're just like, no rhyme or reason, they just go. Something weird happens. A tube goes bad, I don't know, some kind of loose circuit, or I don't know, whatever. Something happens. The next thing you know, you're like, I got nothing. It's one of the reasons why for a long time I switched to digital stuff, because that didn't happen with those. No disrespect to tube amps, I love them, but every once in a while stuff happens, so I don't know what the heck to think tonight. Manny says, let's just do it, let's go. Ben says, don't see it, no harm, no foul, don't sweat it, just run with what you got. I am most interested in the JJ Jr. and the MT15. Okay, Dave. Alright. Okay, alright, let's do this. I got to collect myself a little bit here, so again, I'm very sorry about the thing, but you know, when you're under this much pressure and you have all these technical issues and you're sweating your brains out trying to figure it out, it takes a toll on you, hence the whiskey. Alright, let me mute the mic. I got a sound check. I got to make sure, because I had to rehook everything up, so I got to make sure I got good levels here. 1 second. This will be the JJ Jr. Alright, so, I mean, I guess it's good enough to do some mixes with. This is the Junior. I have the presence at like just under 11 o'clock. The treble is at 11 o'clock. Mids, 11 o'clock. Bass is at 3 o'clock. The gain's at 2:30. And that's pretty much it. You know, and I got the HBE, whatever that little switch he's got on there, I got that on because it just seemed to feel a little better. So let me, I hope this mix sounds good. Again, I sound checked earlier, but I had to reconfigure everything, so I hope this, you know, mix is okay. Let me just do a mix for you guys so I can get the dust blown off here a little bit. not bad. Hopefully those mixes sounded good to you guys. It sounded pretty balanced in my ears. Yeah, so let's talk about this amp real quick. This is 20 watts. It has 2 channels. It's got a clean and a dirty, and it has that special little switch that Jerry Cantrell wanted on there to give it. It gives it a little more compression, a little more aggression, and I kind of like that switch. And I wish I could have had both of them here so I could shoot them out with the AB box and you could hear the difference. So I'll just tell you, I saw some videos where people were saying they sound exactly the same. They don't. They don't sound exactly the same. This has different tubes in it. This has, let me make sure I'm accurate here. I took notes earlier. Bear with me a second. Again, I'm a little frazzled tonight. Live stuff sometimes happens. Okay, the 100 watts EL34, the Junior's EL84. Maybe I got that the other way around. For some reason, I feel like that's wrong. No, that is right. Yeah, EL34 on the 100 watt, EL84 on the Junior. The Junior, this is what I noticed when I AB'd them. If you set everything the same as far as the knobs go, and I know that these are 5.5 in the middle as opposed to 5, so I actually attenuated for that when I was setting them up. They don't sound exactly the same, which is not a big deal, okay? It's a smaller amp. There's going to probably be some, things you got to do differently with them. So what I did is I AB'd them and spent about a half an hour, I don't know, maybe 15 minutes A-B'ing them to try to get the Junior to sound like the 100, and I couldn't. I could get it to sound close, and I had to make some pretty big adjustments on the EQ side to do that. But what I noticed, the biggest thing that I noticed was the 100 watt had more girth, which I guess that's to be expected, right? It's going to be a bigger sounding amp, so it did have a bit fuller sound. The overall tone was pretty close, but the top end on this guy had a little more of a well, there was a bit of a harshness in it compared to the 100 watt, and I don't mean that as a derogatory thing, because honestly, a little bit of harshness in an amp is not a bad thing, because I mean it helps you come out of a mix, stand out in a mix really well. So, and in a mix, all that stuff gets diluted down anyway. So it wasn't, and I don't mean that in a bad way. It definitely has a little more of a point to it on the top end as opposed to the 100. That was the biggest thing that I noticed. But does it sound good? Yeah. Now, just so you know, like I'm slamming it with the Horizon Devices Precision Drive. Let me do some riffs for you with the Precision Drive off, and I'll click it on and off while I'm playing, and you'll hear the difference while I'm playing. 1 second. I'll start with it off. Here we go. Okay, so what I did there is I started with it off, and then I turned it on, but the tight knob was up 2 notches, which sounded good. But then I turned it off, and then when you saw me reach down, I was actually turning the tight knob down a notch to add a little more fullness back in. So depending on what you want, it could go either way to your taste. But I'm going to leave it 1 notch down because it's a smaller amp, maybe it needs a little more fullness, so I can leave it like that. It definitely feels good, either way, with it up 2 notches or 1 notch. It was pretty responsive and it sounded good. So yeah, I mean it's you know it's a good sounding amp. I tried, as some of you that have followed the channel for a while, I tried the JJ Jr. Combo, and I preferred on that one. I preferred the direct out on it because it was an open back kind of combo amp. So the cab was an open back and it was kind of airy and it wasn't real punchy. I was kind of like concerned. Like I was like, well, when I get this home, is that going to be the same deal? Because yeah, you know, it floats in your head. Like, am I going to have that kind of like not so punchy sound out of the head with my Mesa 212? And no, it sounded punchy. It's got a really nice full punchy sound. It's very responsive, and as you heard, it sounds, you know, at least with my in-ears, it sounded great in the mix. So now the other thing that I noticed too is like the gain structure on these amps are not the same as like all the other amps that I play. You know, if I have this at noon, and I'll go through the different gain structures on here. I'll start out at 9 o'clock and I'll move it up to 12 o'clock, then 3 o'clock, then all the way up. Let's do that right now. Let me just do that real quick. So the pedal will be on. I'll do it off, then I'll do it on. 9 o'clock, 12 o'clock, 3 o'clock, all the way up. Pedal off first round, pedal on second round. Here we go. Okay, so that's basically what that sounds like there. Yeah, so like if you're going to have your gain typically on your amp around 11 o'clock or noon, it'll probably be about the same amount of gain on this amp at about 3 o'clock. So a lot of guys just floor these. You know, a lot of stuff I've read, a lot of people just turn the gain all the way up. They're not rage monsters. You know, they do have enough gain, you know, if you want to play metal or rock or whatever, but you're just going to have to turn it up more than you would on your typical amplifier. I noticed that with the EQ as well. Like, you definitely, like, I always suggest EQing an amp with your ears, not your eyes anyway, because a lot of times you'll see how far you're turning things up or how little you're turning things up, and your eyes will argue with your ears and say, well, that's it's obviously not enough treble. We're only at 9 o'clock, but your ears are going, well, actually it is enough, but it's not conventional, you know. So you'll always overcorrect or undercorrect depending. And so on some amps, the opposite's true. You'll turn the treble up to 3 o'clock, which you don't normally do on an amp, but your ears will be like, yeah, that's enough, and your eyes will be like, that's too much, because we never go over noon, you know. So it's like you really have to. What I've learned as many times as I've had different amps on this show on Wednesday nights, is I've learned to trust my ears, not my eyes. Just turn it up to whatever you think it needs to go to, and if it sounds great, it's fine. It doesn't matter what your eyes think, because you're not looking at the amp, you're listening to it, obviously. And every amp's different. They all have their own EQ sweep. They all have their own voicing and their own circuits that push or pull back on certain frequencies, and you got to use their EQ accordingly. And conversely, like, the dials on all these EQs on all the amps out there are different. Everybody's, you know, it's like I said before, they're all in different time zones. So one person's 1 o'clock is another person's 4 o'clock, and vice versa. So that's just the way it is. So with this, I got it dialed in just you know, a little unconventionally, but it works. You know, I got the gain higher than I usually do, but you know, it sounds good and it feels right. It gives me what I need. You know, um, let me go in the chat here. Okay. Yeah, Cass is asking if it was Cass 390. Was it boosted? Let's hear it without the boost. I did do that. Hopefully you caught that. Is that the JJ channel or the HBE? It's the JJ channel. So that's what you're hearing. Okay, so Ben, thank you. The levels sound good. Thank you. Vox Pathfinder sounds great. Thank you. Both on and off are great tones. I love the aggression with the precision on, but I also like the fatness with it off. Yeah, that's why I picked like the happy medium with the precision drive. So I ended up just taking the precision drive and turning the tight knob or the attack knob down one notch. So it sounds good either way, but I wanted a little more fullness. Now, on the big one, I liked the attack knob up 2 notches because the big one's got a big full sound, so you can end up cutting a little, and you can also add more bass back in on the amp. So that's another thing that you can do. If it chokes it too much, you can add some of it back in. But yeah, I mean, I think it's a good amp. You know, it definitely sounds better than the combo because again, the combo was okay for me. Now, I say that with all due respect to the amp and the amp maker. Not every amp out there is going to work for everybody. So I would pick this over the combo for sure. I think it sounds much better because we all know 60 or 70% of your tone comes from your cab, and I definitely preferred this through my Mesa cab than through the combo because again, it's an open back, and if you're playing metal, open back cabs are not they're not going to work for you. They're too airy. That's more for like classic rock, dad rock type stuff. You know, I don't play that, so I was missing all that punch right away. I need to feel it. I need that punch. Otherwise, I feel like I'm missing something. You know, I feel like I'm not. You know, you want to feel powerful when you're playing metal. You want to feel like when you hit a big power chord that there's like, you know, like this thunderous roar coming out of the cabinet. And I was not getting that with the combo. This comes much closer to what I'm looking for as far as that goes. Let's see here. Hey, what's up, George? He says the MT15 is his way to go for the budget. Yeah, I mean, well, before I forget, I want to thank Motor City Guitar for allowing me to take the Friedmans home and do this demonstration for you guys. Sorry I didn't do that earlier. Again, I had some technical difficulties, so my brain's fried. But it's motorcityguitar.com. Go to their store, and there's all kinds of great deals there. In fact, when I was looking up the pricing on these amplifiers, they actually had the cheapest prices when I was looking up the online pricing. So they do have really good prices there, and they have a great staff. So definitely check their website out. And they ship all over the country in the U.S. And so if you don't live near them, you can still buy from that store and get awesome customer service and great gear at great prices. They also do financing. They do all that stuff. So if you want to try to buy something from a more community-oriented type business, that's where you should go. You know, it's a great place to shop. Let's see here. Catch up to you guys. Jeff Cornell says, "Amen. I learned that when I owned the Mesa Dual Rec." I think you're probably agreeing with me about the cab. I'm telling you, man, open back cabs, if you play metal, they are not going to work for you at all. All that punch and all that fullness just escapes out the back, and you only get like a third of it. And you'll be cranking your bass too high to get it, and it still won't give it to you because it all escapes out the back, you know. But I would highly recommend, you know, getting like if you're going to try one of these out, you know, get it with maybe a Friedman cab, or a Mesa or whatever your cab choice is, because again, the cab is everything. It really is. You can get a halfway decent amp and hook it up through a awesome cab, and you're going to have a really good sound. If you have an awesome amp and hook it up through a crappy cab, it's going to sound like crap. It really is. So before if anybody's out there watching and they're frustrated with their amp because they just don't like how it sounds, I would try a new cab before I tried a new amp first, and I'll guarantee you the cab's going to solve the problem most of the time. It really is. And the type of cab, like I used to be a 412 guy, I'm not anymore. They're too woofy for me. They're too airy. I like 212s because they have just enough fullness and punch, but they're very tight, and they still sound huge. Like a 112 wouldn't work for me. They're too focused and narrow sounding. But a 212, in my opinion, for what I do and what I like, I prefer that, because also I usually run stereo, so I'll have one on one side, one on the other, as opposed to two 412s. They're easier to carry, blah, blah, blah. But what's nice is, again, you can get stereo cabs and have all that punch and fullness. And, man, I'm telling you, I'm never going back to a 412. 212s are it for me. I used to think that 412 sounded better, but to each their own. But for me, a 212 is the way to go. Very punchy, very full, and lots of kick to them, and they sound fantastic. Hey, Carrie, what's going on? Invective, Jan Patrick Lucas, Invective MH or MT15? Thanks. Gosh, that's a good one. Without shooting them out directly side by side, I really couldn't tell you exactly which one I would prefer, but I think if you went with either one, you'd be really happy. They both have a great clean channel, and they both have a really good, distortion channel. I mean, I love the MT15. I really don't have anything bad to say about it. It's a great amp. It really is. And I'll fire that up in a little bit here. But I've been really happy with mine, So I think you could probably flip a coin on those two. Maybe if it comes down to a budget type thing, get the one that's more fitting to your budget. But I will say, well, let me just say this, and I'm going by memory. Okay, the Invective Mini was a little rounder as far as the dirt channel went, and I'll have to give it to the MT because it's not as round. It's definitely got that more nice percussive top end to it that I like. So I guess I would pick the MT based on that. So what's up, Steve Shaheen? What's going on, man? Yeah, Carrie, before I went live tonight, all hell broke loose. Yeah, that's why the 100 watt's not up here with me. I don't know what happened. It just for some reason I couldn't get any sound out of it. I don't get it at all. So weird. Okay, let me do this. Have a sip of whiskey. Let me do one more mix for you guys with the JJ Jr. And then I can switch to the Synergy HBE. Do a couple mixes for you there. At least you can get a comparison between those two. I know it's an HBE, but this is pretty much an HBE with a different voicing switch on it and stuff. So, so at least and then you can get like a reference between the two. So let me do one more mix. I hope I can even play tonight, to be honest with you guys. I'm serious. I'm like really stressed because of all those issues I had earlier. So let me I'm going to play a couple riffs and I'll do this next mix for you. Yeah, not bad. Not bad. It sounds really good. It does all the stuff I want it to do. It supported all the riffs that I played. Sounded good. Cut through the mix well. Sounds great on leads and rhythms. Has a nice cutty top end, and that's what I was talking about earlier. Like that little bit of like, and again, I don't mean this in a derogatory way, but that little bit of harshness. It does kind of melt away in the mix and stand out in the mix really well. So, I mean, my ears weren't bugging me. So, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of Friedman fans out there. There's a lot of guys that just swear by these amps, and I mean, and they'll pay the price for it, and I get it. I mean, that's the thing, man. If you're looking for, that holy grail tone that you like so much, and for whatever reason it checks all your boxes, just go buy it, because really you can't really put a price on the tone that you're seeking. I mean, if it's worth it to you, then go buy it. I mean, that's really the way I look at it. I mean, we're all tone chasers, and there's a lot of guys that will stop at nothing to find that magic kind of tone and feel that works for them. And and as we progress as musicians, our tastes change and our needs change, because we become better. We're doing more challenging things on the guitar, and we need an amp that's going to support that. So a lot of times we'll trade up. We'll get rid of the amp that got us to where we're at now, and we need something that's going to get us to the next level. And I think Friedman, makes amplifiers that are kind of like next level amplifiers for a lot of people. So, yeah, I totally get why a lot of guys like these. There's, depending on the genre of music you play, you're going to have the gain set a certain way, and you're going to have an overdrive pedal, or you're not. I will never, ever play without an overdrive pedal. It's just the way I play. Honestly, I like how it feels in response to my playing. It's not necessarily about the tone as much as it's about how it feels for me. So that's why I use that. So if there's any other things you guys want me to do with this amplifier before I switch, I'll be happy to do that for you guys. And catch up to the comments here. Oh, Barry is asking about the thoughts on the EVH 5150 overdrive pedal. Good question. I've heard great things about it. I've never played one, though. So I will have an overdrive episode one of these nights very soon. I'm going to get a bunch of different overdrive pedals out here, and I'm going to line them all up and play one amp with them, and then just kind of cycle through them as I play. That's how I actually picked my precision drives. I went to the store, and I lined up like 8 or 9 pedals, and I dialed them in individually the best that they could sound on their own, with the amp that I was going to play them through too. That's important. My guitar, my amp, pick the pedal that goes with that the best, and I ended up with the precision drive. So I didn't use the EVH pedal though, because I don't know if there was one there or not, but I have heard good things about it. Let's see here. Sorry, catching up to you guys. Ben says the mixes and playing sound great. Thank you. I really appreciate that. Issues or not, you are in the groove now. Playing sounds awesome. Thank you. I am blown away by the tone you are getting. No other YouTuber has gotten the JJ to sound that good. Oh, thanks, man. Appreciate that. Let's see here. Carrie says, you work hard at what you do here in Tone Wars, and it shows. It's great to sit back and I hear you play as an audience member. Great piece. Thank you. Aaron's asking if I'm using the precision drive. Yes, I am. I am definitely using that. Thank you, Carrie. Yeah, using the precision drive. It's just such a versatile pedal, because the attack knob is so. You have 5 different selections on that, and it can really adjust to the amp, because some amps are pretty tight on their own, and if you use the attack knob, too much on the amp. The precision drive works down and gain. It doesn't have like a bass sculpting kind of knob on it, and that's very important. I really think that that's the most important knob on the pedal, because that's what really, because sometimes people like, yeah, I got this amp and I use the tube screamer on it and it just chokes the life out of it, and you can't do anything about it. With the precision drive, you could take the bass out and put it back in, depending on how you have the tech knob set. So I suggest getting one. I really do. So far, every time I try another overdrive pedal, I always end up going back to the precision drive. The only thing that's come really close is the one made out of skateboard parts, the Tone Wheel Boost by Antonin over at Salvation Mods. That thing is also very, very cool pedal, but that one sounds great, but it doesn't sound great on every single amp that I've used. There's times that the precision drive just sounds better because, again, I got that attack knob adjustment, and it really does make a difference. Because, again, you can really choke the life out of an amp with an overdrive pedal, and now it just sounds awful. It's too focused and thin sounding, and you don't want that. So, okay, Barry's asking if anybody's played the Metal Muff. I haven't played it. I've heard of it, but I've never played it yet. Richard, what's going on? He says, new sub here, catching up on the vids. Good stuff. Any experience with the Digitech drop? Just ordered one. Thank you very much, and welcome to the channel. Very appreciate you being here. I have a Digitech drop right here, and I'll demo it for you. Let me go up and let's go down a half a step here. Let's do that real quick. I'll go ahead and do a quick demo for you. Yeah, it's a very handy pedal, especially if you want to travel light and you want to bring a bunch of guitars with you. It's great. It really is. It's great live. I will say, on cleans in the studio, you'll want to use a regular tuned guitar to whatever that tuning is, because it does round off a little of your top end. You'll notice it more in your cleans. It kind of dulls them down, but on the distortion stuff, you won't notice it as much. But the lower you go with it, and if you start dropping like a whole step down, if you go down to a whole step, that's about as far as you want to go with it. You can go 2 steps down if you want, but it starts getting a little weird. Let's go 2 steps down and see. It's been a while. Hang on. Yeah, that was 2 whole steps down. Not bad, but if I was clean, you'd notice some stuff. But again, I think it's a great tool, because you could take like 5 guitars with you, or you could take the Digitech drop pedal, and I think the drop pedal is a better way to go live, because there's times I don't want to bring all my guitars. It drives me nuts, man. So if you got to travel light, it's very handy, very easy to do. And there's times where it's nice when you're working with a singer, and they're like struggling with one of the songs that you're doing right now because it just doesn't sit right with their voice, and you're like, well, let's change keys, and you're like, well, it's the only guitar I have. Well, now you can change keys for them, and they could find their sweet spot in the song vocally, and you can easily accommodate them with the drop pedal. So there's a lot of handy uses that it has. So I think it's definitely worth the money for sure. Great purchase. And again, welcome to the channel. Very much appreciate you being here. Let's see here. Vince Vegas, listening closely for tone suck. Yeah, they do it. They do it again. They do suck a little tone on your cleans, but not your dirties that much. Aaron Short says, "Yeah, Tube Screamer is harsh in the mids. Yeah, it can be. You know, it can be. That's why I said, like, also on the Precision Drive, you get twice the headroom on the gain, which I don't use that much. I only put it up to a teeny bit, and the tone and the volume. So you can really cram a lot of stuff into an amplifier with the Precision Drive because, again, you have twice the headroom on the volume on it. It'll just really push an amp hard if you want it to. I have mine set right now at like 1 o'clock on the volume. Tone is at the middle, right up at noon, and the gain is just, at 6 o'clock's off, it's like 6:30. I just put a little bit of dirt in there because I paid for it. And then the tight knob is 1 notch up for this amp because it just seems to work with it better. Let's see here. Aaron asks, when did I get the drop? I've had the drop for years. It's been on my board for years. I just started tuning my guitars all differently because when I go to the studio, that's what I have to do anyway. So I was like, I'll just go ahead and tune. I have several guitars, so I'll just tune them anyway. So then if I ever break a string or whatever, I can use the drop pedal, to get me out of a jam. Aaron asks if it does Octave Down. Yeah, it'll do Octave Down. Let's do that real quick. Hang on. Come on. Little Deep Purple action there. Yeah, so it'll do a couple different options for you. It's definitely a handy tool, like I said. I prefer not to use it for all my stuff, but again, it's there if you need it, right? Okay, so see here, Vox Pathfinder, if you're using vintage 30 speakers, you have to be careful with the mid-focus pedals like the Tube Screamers. Yeah, yep, it can happen. Barry's asking, do I like the metal muff? I don't know if you're asking me or somebody else, so I'm sorry if I'm answering out of turn here. I've never played it, but I want to. I would like to try one of these days. So I guess with this amp, maybe I could play one more song. Let me switch guitars. It's just one of them nights I'm feeling a little off, but it's all right. Bear with me here. It's crazy. I had a lot of things go very well for me today. And then it all went to hell on me tonight. So I paid for it. As usual. If I have too many good things happen to me, I'm always like, great, when's the payment coming? And it came today. Oh man, did it ever. Alright, so here's an example. This guitar has dropped down a half step, but the low B has dropped down even further. So that's why I had to switch guitars. I'm going to do one more mix for you guys. This one here is pretty interesting. I think I got to turn this one up though. Maybe. I got to do a sound check on this because this might not work. So 1 second. Yeah, worked for all that stuff too. Yeah, I turned the mix up halfway through. I figured why stop? I'll just turn it up when I get a chance. But yeah, that sounded great in that mix too. Yeah, it's a good sounding amp. I get why people like these, especially if you're a big fan of Friedman stuff and you want something kind of portable, a little more on the affordable side compared to his other stuff. It's a pretty versatile amp. It'll do metal. I just did a bunch of metal stuff with it, and if you slam it pretty hard with an overdrive, it'll do all that stuff. It'll do the classic rock, regular straight up rock, whatever, all that stuff. So pretty versatile. Yep. I definitely think I enjoyed it. I'll be honest with you guys. Like when I have went into the stores before and played these, you know how it is when you're in the store though. Like you're 3 feet away from the cab. You plug into it. You're not using your guitar, your pedals, your stuff. And I was always kind of like, yeah, these are pretty cool, but I was like, I don't know if it would work for me, but I see why people like them. Okay, and I say that with the greatest amount of respect. Like, not everything's gonna work for everybody. You get 10 guys in here, and they're probably gonna like 4 or 5 different things, and everything else they're gonna be like, doesn't mean the amp's not good. It just means that maybe it's just not for you. It doesn't have your flavor. And that's kind of how it's always been with Friedman amps with me. Is it's always been like I see the quality, I hear the quality, the voicing just doesn't work for what I like. But I will say this: when I got this home and I got the 100 home and plugged them into my cab, my guitar, my pedals, this is the best I've ever heard them sound, and this is the best they've ever felt to me as well. So I say this for people to maybe hopefully you can glean a little bit from my experience with it, is like just because an amp doesn't work for you in a store, maybe if you heard a lot of good things about it and it has a great reputation, maybe it's worth it to take it home, because a lot of stores have a return policy for a reason. Take it home and really, because trying something out in a store is kind of like driving a car around the sales lot at a car dealership. It's like you don't really know how well it handles in a sales lot. Take it home, hook it up to your cab with your stuff, and play it for a few days. And then if you can't, because you got to dial it in, because you're dialing it into the store as opposed to your house where you're used to hearing all your stuff in your house, in your practice space or whatever, and that matters. So I'd say, like, if you think an amp's pretty good and it's almost there for you and it's got a good reputation, it's worth taking home and giving it a full try. It really is. Because if it doesn't work, you can always return it or exchange it for something that might be more to your taste. But I'm kind of glad I brought these home because, again, I like them more than I thought I would. They're actually pretty good amps. The quality's there. They're very well built. And they have the reputation for a reason, right? So I think this amp really proved itself tonight. And again, I definitely like it way more than I liked the combo, because this hooked up to my Mesa cab, it just made it sound so punchy. And in the room, it sounds pretty good too. I mean, it sounds really good in the room. I like how it feels. It's got a lot of fullness and punch. Again, the 100 watt it's a girthier sound. It definitely has more girth to it. So if you're looking for that in the room kind of girthiness, I would go with the 100 watt. But if you're looking for something that is portable, more affordable, and you can, one thing that you can do to add some girthiness to this amp is get the amp tweaker makes a pedal called the depth finder. And that could add a little of that resonance that maybe you might be missing. So that's a trick that you can use, and I've heard good things about that pedal. So there's a way around it too. So, but unless you guys got anything else you want me to do with this amp, I can switch to something else. Let's see here. Thank you, Jean-Patrick Lewis. You're a champion, Jared, for showing up and performing despite your troubles. I empathize with you and I appreciate it. Thanks for understanding. Seriously, like I was ready to literally. I've told Carrie this before. If I had Hulk strength, I would probably pick my house up and throw it today. That's how upset I was about all the issues that I had. I would have threw my house to another state. That's how like frazzled I was. But it was like, well, I got to do it. I got to just do it. You know. So thank you for understanding that. I appreciate that very much. Let's see here. Vox Pathfinder, does the combo have a speaker out jack? I don't remember, to be honest with you. I think it does. It's got a direct out. I know that. I don't remember if it has a speaker out jack or not, to be honest with you. And yes, you can hook it up to a different cab. But at that point, you might as well just get the head, right? Because, I mean, that would be more, you know, to your taste anyways. Why pay for a speaker that you're not going to use when you just buy the head? So, all right. So let me do this. I'm gonna shut this guy off, and I think we can go with the Synergy rig now, which should be pretty easy. All I got to do is just switch some cables around here. All this live stuff here. You get to see all the behind the scenes. Alright. Yeah, the last thing I want to do is disappoint people and not go live when I said I would. I was just trying to come up with a show that would be worth watching, because I'm like, I really wanted to show the difference between the 100 and the you know, and the 20 watt. But again, let me reiterate the differences that I noticed. The differences that I noticed between them, where the 100 watt had a bigger sound, more girth, more fullness, and the top end was actually, in my opinion, I preferred the top end of the 100 watt. It didn't have the little bit of harshness that this had, but again, in a mix, I don't know if that's really a big deal, but by itself I could tell. But without having the AB kind of situation here, I can't really tell you if I would notice a difference in a mix or not, because I lost out on that tonight. But you know, there's different price, definitely a different weight to them, different size. But I think for what it is, when you compare it to the 100 watt, let me just put it to you this way. In comparison to the 100 watt, the 20 watt's not like, oh, no thanks, I would never buy that. I mean, give me the 100 watt. Why did they even bother making this? It's not like that at all. The 20 watt definitely, for what it is and for the price and the size and the different wattage and all that, it definitely holds its own and has a very respectable presentation when compared to the 100 watt. So it's not a deal breaker. You're not going to play through this in comparison and go, I don't even know why anybody would buy that. That would never cross your mind. You would be like, yeah, it sounds great. I'll take that because it's more portable, or you'll take the other one. But you won't be able to say, no one will say this one sounds terrible in comparison, because it doesn't. It sounds very good. I've seen videos where people were like at NAMM and stuff and playing through it, and they're clicking through it and going, it's exactly the same. I'm telling you, it's not. There is a difference, but it's not a deal breaker difference, but there is one. It's a noticeable difference, okay? Put it to you that way. All right, let me fire this back up here. Make sure I got all this hooked up right. Gosh, I'm just waiting for something else to blow up on me tonight. I'm afraid to touch anything right now. It's been really like that tonight. I hate doing edited videos because they take forever, and but going live is scary. It's very scary because anything can happen, and you're live when it happens, and I'm all by myself. Who's gonna help me? You know, I just gotta sit here and wing it. You know, it scares the crap out of me sometimes. All right, so I got that. Well, here goes nothing. Let me just do some riffs and make sure I got something here. Okay, I got something. Let's make sure it's, mix ready here. Let's see. Nudge that up just a hair. Now that's the HBE Friedman Synergy module going through my Synergy Syn 5050 power amp, which is an all-tube power amp, which is 6L6, into my Mesa 212, and it's mic'd with, again, the Sennheiser E609. Let me do a quick mix with this. Again, because of everything that happened tonight, my sound checks are null and void tonight. So I hope this, this mix will work here. 1 second. Okay, turn that down here. Okay, here's what I noticed. The HBE is not as aggressive. It's got a mushier top end. It's not, yeah, it's just not as aggressive, and the reason why is this has that switch on it. The JJ has that switch on it that gives you that kind of nice aggression, and that's why I preferred that, you know, that setting on this amp, because it gave me that aggression that I like. Obviously it worked. It did what I wanted it to do in the mix. It supported the riffs that I played. It sounded good. It felt fine, especially when I pushed it with the overdrive, but it's less aggressive. So now here's the thing. If you want something that's less aggressive, then buy that one. If you want something that's more aggressive, then buy the JJ. The nice thing about the JJ is that it has, you know, again, two modes. It's got the more aggressive and the less aggressive mode. So if you want the best of both worlds, maybe buy that. But the Synergy stuff is very unique because, again, you could buy the whole Synergy system and then buy modules for $3.99. So there's where that comes in. You have $3.99 for this module. It has two channels, and I used them both. I used for the rhythm, I used channel 1. For the lead, I used channel 2. And you can set that they have a shared EQ, but you can set the volumes and the gain separately on them. So I have the gain cranked all the way up on the lead, and I have it at like 2 o'clock on the rhythm. Yeah, 2 o'clock. So it definitely works. It's just a matter of taste. It really is a matter of flavor. Like if you want a rounder kind of sound that's not so aggressive, then go with the HBE. And it really is, like people think, like with the Synergy stuff, there's still a little mystique with it. Like, is it really a legit Friedman preamp? Yes, it's made by Dave Friedman. It's got his fingerprints all over it. It's got his parts, his design, his schematic, tubes, circuits, all of it. The same preamp that sits right here in my Synergy rig is the exact same preamp that's in his HBE amplifier. So it's the same thing. So it's going to sound just like a Friedman, you know, HBE. If I had the time and all the AB switching and all that, I could probably put this back on and do the HBE on it and all that, but I don't have time for that tonight and with all the stuff that happened. But I would say that you probably wouldn't be able to tell the difference between these two in HBE mode. You probably wouldn't. You know. So, yeah. I mean, if that's your flavor, if Friedman's your flavor, I mean, you got two really good flavors here tonight. And, again, I'm demanding as hell. Like, I like amps that are pissed off. I like really angry, aggressive amps. That fill the mix really well, that I could do crazy like harmonic type things on, and squeals and shreddy stuff, and I need an amp that really supports all that. And these amps definitely did. The HBE wasn't as aggressive as I would like, but if I showed up to a gig and I needed a backline and like this is all they had, the Friedman HBE, and I had to do a show with it, as long as I had my overdrive pedal, I'd be fine. I'd be like, all right, yeah, I can play through that tonight, you know. The HB isn't my preferred sound, but it does work for me, and there's a lot of people that can play guitar way better than me that it works for as well. So, again, it's all a matter of flavor and what your taste is. Between the two, I would pick the JJ or the double J or whatever they call this thing. I would pick this because it's more aggressive. So, I guess that's my opinion on those two. Let me see if there's any other comments here. What is your favorite PRS guitar? Barry's asking. You know, I've never played a PRS. To this day, I've never played them. I just mainly play these Majesty Monarchies and Majesty JPs and Ernie Ball guitars. That's what I play now, and I'm just hooked on them. I love these guitars very much. They play themselves almost. I mean, they make me sound better than I deserve to. So yeah, it's a good question, but I've never played a PRS guitar. I've heard they're awesome. I've just never played one. Okay, Damien, what's happening, buddy? He says, I finally got rid of the SM57s and switched to the E609. What a world of difference in sound. Thanks to you. Oh, thanks, man. I would have never tried the E609. Wow, thanks, man. I really appreciate that. You know, when I was getting back into, you know, doing real amps and cabs and stuff like that, and getting mics and stuff, I've never been a 57 fan because I always felt that they were kind of harsh and they were very focused on the speaker. They get like this much of the speaker, you know, where the 609 gets this much, if you can see that, this much of the speaker as opposed to this much, you know. So for me, I want that big fat sweet spot on the speaker, and I put mine a little more towards the outside of it more than towards the middle, so I still feel like I get that nice top end, but I get that big fat. You can hear the speaker bouncing around in there, especially on certain amplifiers. And I got in-ears, so I can really hear all the bounciness of the speaker, and it's awesome. I really dig it. So I'm glad you're liking it. I also got, thanks to Jamie Trevino, he turned me on to these, I forget the name, I'm trying to see it. Jamie, if you're watching, type in the name of these amp. It's not an amp clamp, but there's these little clamps that you drill into the bottom of your cabinet, and then you slide in the mic the mic holder, the mic clip, and then it holds the mic in there. So now you're not worrying about having a mic stand on the floor, and you find your sweet spot, and it never moves, you know. And then it stays kind of on that clamp. And then as you're playing, if like I got the Helix here and I just put it on a loop, and then I'll just go up and I got my in-ears in, and I'll just kind of slightly move the mic until I find the sweet spot, and it stays there. And you're not moving it around on the floor. It actually pivots on that clamp. And man, I'll tell you, I love those things. Those things save me so much time, because I'm in my basement right now. So when I'm done, I take my cab, well, at least one of them, back upstairs in my living room so I can play up there too. So whenever I come down here, I'm not hooking a mic up and you know, sliding it around and looking for my mic stand. Or my mics are always in front of my cabs no matter what, you know. So I bring them down here, I hook a mic cable to it, and I'm done, you know. And I just double check and make sure everything sounds good, and I'm done. I mean, they've saved me so much time. You know, you don't have to worry about people knocking your mic stand over and stuff like that. I'm telling you, when he told me about these things, I was like, all right, I'll try them out. I got one for each cab, and I do not regret buying these things at all. They're amazing. So you might want to get one of those too. And they're great for the 609 because they make the 609 just kind of shove right up against the speaker cloth, and it just stays there. And I'm telling you, man, those things are awesome. And again, thanks for commenting. I appreciate that. Okay, let's see here. What's up, Gary Z06? He says, I run my JJ Jr. through the Marshall 412 with greenbacks, and to me it sounds insane. No, that's good, man. Yeah, I prefer the JJ Jr. over the HBE. I really do. I just think it's got that nice aggression that that I look for anyways. Again, depends on the genre of music you like, but I would definitely pick this over the HBE, even though they're both really good. Aaron Short asks, what's the difference between the BE and the HBE? I think the HBE has a little more aggression than the BE. I think there's a couple switches on it that give you a little more kick. So that's the difference. It has a little more, it's a little gainier, if I remember correctly. Let's see here. Oh, Damien says he has the amp clamp and he's using Velcro, so he doesn't have to drill it. Oh, yeah, I hear you. It broke my heart to drill into the bottom of my Mesa cabs, but you don't see it, so it's fine. I just deal with it. Astronaut, what's going on, buddy? Haven't seen you in a couple weeks. He says, what's up, man? You liking that 2 notes Captor X demoed at NAMM? It's a load box IR with 35 dB of attenuation. Wow. that kind of thing. Great for guys with big amps to get that sweet spot without busted windows. Yeah, but busted windows is fun. Not in the winter though, because it can get pretty cold in here. But I haven't used the 2 notes yet, but I will soon. I definitely want to get my hands on one and use it because I've heard nothing but good things about them. So Glenn Fricker actually reviewed the Cab Clone 2 today, and he said he still prefers the 2 notes over it. So 2 notes is probably the way to go for most people. All right, let's see here. So do you guys want me to go ahead and switch to the MT15 now? It's going to take a second, but I can do it. And then let's see, and I'll give you my thoughts on how I feel that compares to the other amplifiers as well. All of this stuff's available at Motor City Guitar, just so you guys know. So no matter what you prefer, if you like any one of these, go to Motor City's website at motorcityguitar.com and check them out. They have all this stuff in stock. They ship all over the U.S. Great store, great staff, lots of great gear there, and as far as I've seen, best prices around. So not too shabby. So let me do this. Let me switch to the MT. Again, I apologize for all the delays here, but I had everything set up where I could run it through boxes, but it just didn't seem to work out tonight. So give me a second here, and we'll get all this going. I haven't even sound checked the MT because I had all those technical issues. So gotta grab my phone so I can use my flashlight on it. Don't want to plug something in the wrong spot. Lost my mind, but I've gone live enough now to where I'm just pretty comfortable with everything, where I don't really lose my mind. It's just like, whatever. It is what it is. Okay. There's the old strap up here to keep the tension off the cables. Thank God for pedal python. Make sure I got this hooked up right here. Speaker, red, red, white, white, green, green, blue, blue. Bam. All right. Okay, let's go to that setting. And I'm switching and using the Helix, the Line 6 Helix, for effects, so just so you guys know too. And what a great tool the Helix is. Shut all that off. I forgot I gotta hook all this stuff back up. Well, you take a second. Boy, what a night it's been. You guys are definitely getting a behind the scenes look at everything tonight, man. Holy cow. Okay. I haven't touched this amp in a while. Should be good. Famous last words. Alright, let me do a couple riffs. Hang on. Wow. Yeah, I missed that amp. Just checking my settings. Dude, this amp sounds freaking killer. Yeah. Let me do a mix. I don't know what the settings are like right now as far as the mix settings go. Let me just try a mix real quick and just see how this sounds in a mix. Bear with me a second here. Okay, well, how did that sound to you guys in comparison? I know we didn't A-B them directly, but what I can tell you is for what I do and for the style of music that I play and for just what I desire with my ears and my hands out of an amp, I prefer the PRS MT15, which, you know, again, if I had 10 people in here, 5 of them would prefer this one and 5 of them would prefer this. It all depends on what you like. I just felt like the PRS was fuller than the Friedman. It had a fullness that I really go for. And again, these are both lunchbox. This is 20 watts. The JJ's 20 watts. The PRS is 15 watts. I felt that the voicing, I like the way the voicing is on the PRS. And I use the same overdrive pedal on it. Everything's the same thing, same guitar, same mix, everything. And yeah, I just really like how that amp sounds and feels. I haven't played it in a couple weeks. And man, it just really works for me. So out of, you know, between these two, I would pick the PRS. But again, that doesn't mean that the Friedman's not as good or whatever. It just means that that's my taste. You know, like I said, other people might disagree with me on that. The funny thing is you got $14.99 here and you got $700, $729 here. So the Friedman's $14.99, the PRS is $729. The Friedmans are made by hand in California. The PRS is in China. So there's the difference. There's a pretty big difference there between the two as far as like how they're made and the cost of making each one. Is obviously if you make something in China, it's definitely going to be cheaper to make, and you know, so there's a big savings there. So you know, and then but then again, it's like it definitely, you know, as far as like if it works properly and it's built right, and you don't have any issues as far as that goes, the sound and feel and options and stuff like that on the PRS, especially for the price, just like the Friedman JJ Jr. held its own and had a respectable showing against its 100-watt counterpart, I feel that the MT15 held its own and had a very respectable showing compared to an amp that's literally twice the price. So, and here's the thing, like, my channel isn't based on me saying what people want me to hear regarding stores or regarding products and distributors and manufacturers, or even you, except for the fact that I want you to hear the truth. I mean, a lot of people tune in here to hear my opinion on things, and I appreciate that very much. And I don't want to betray people's trust by not giving you my opinion and telling you what I think. Now, obviously, I try to be respectful about it, and I try to like give you things to weigh out in that opinion. Like again, like the JJ is made in America, in California, they're hand wired, everything's made by hand. So there's, you know, that's a big deal. The Paul Reed Smith amp is made in China. But again, if you pull it out of the box and it works and you don't really have any issues with it, then really what it comes down to is, do you like how it sounds and feels better? Do you like the features better? And again, can you afford it? And so the way I look at it is, if you're going to go to Motor City Guitar, whether it's online or in the store, and you're going to buy one of these amps, I would say try them both, shoot them out for yourself. Bring your guitar, bring your overdrive pedal, and make sure they have a cab there it's the same cab you have at home. Try them out and walk out with whatever one suits your taste better. You know, like I said, if 10 of you walked in the store, 5 of you would walk out with the Friedman, 5 of you would walk out with the PRS. It's just that simple. Me, I'd walk out with the PRS because personally it suits my taste better. With all due respect to the Friedman stuff. You know, it doesn't mean that it's a better amp. It just means it suits my taste better. So So I had to give you my honest opinion about that. And hopefully you guys appreciate that. I really do hope that, because I look at it this way. If you're going to go to Motor City, you're going to buy something. You're going to buy one or the other. And Motor City Guitar, the staff there and the owner, they want you to walk out with whatever suits your taste better, obviously. Okay, so Gunnerman 54, what's up, buddy? Do you like the JJ better or the Synergy HBE? I like the JJ better than the HBE. It's more aggressive. It's more aggressive, and that's what I like. I like a more aggressive sound. So I would pick the JJ over the HBE for sure. Let's see here. Just scrolling back here. I want to catch up to you guys here. I'm going to do 3 more mixes for you with the PRS too. So I'll do those in a minute, but I want to scroll back and read your questions real quick. Let me shut this off. Yeah, I don't need that anymore. Okay. Now my phone's not tilting. There we go. All right. Okay, here. Yeah, a lot of good points being made here about where amps are made and like what the difference is and why, you know, the price is different and all that stuff. And I totally understand with what you guys are saying. Like, you know, I mean, Carrie and I did a review. I think we did Gear of the Year for the end of 2019, and I had the PRS MT15 in there. Pound for pound, dollar for dollar, I think the MT15 is the best lunchbox amp you can get, period. It's got an absolutely fantastic clean channel that I have zero bad things to say about. The high gain channel is also, it's voiced awesome. It's voiced very well. I love it. It's got a great top end. It's very full. There's a teeny bit of woolliness to it. You only notice that when you compare it to an amp that doesn't have that. Like a couple weeks ago, I compared it to my Kraken, my Super Kraken, and between the two, you could hear a teeny bit of woolliness in it compared to the Kraken, but that's not a deal breaker. It's not bad. It's not like, oh God, you know, it's just a teeny bit, and I'll bet you none of you heard it tonight because I didn't compare it to anything that was a little less woolly. But I'm telling you, like, I haven't played this in a couple weeks, and in my ears right now, I'm extremely pleased with what I'm hearing. It's checking a lot of boxes for me. Again, the Friedman's amazing. I'm not going to disparage that because I think it's a great, great amplifier. But for my money, if I was on a budget, I would not walk out with the PRS feeling like, well, that's the best I could get, so I guess I'll just put up with it, you know, and someday I'll be able to get something that's better. You'll walk out with the PRS and be 100% happy with it. You're not going to have any issues with it. And if you're a huge Friedman fan and you love the voicing that the Friedmans have, like they have that different kind of texture and character to them and that very distinct kind of Friedman voicing, then get the JJ, you know, because again, like I said earlier, like, you know, we'll pay, like, you guys all agree with me, when you're a tone chaser, and we all are, you'll pay almost anything to get that tone that you've always wanted. I mean, you will. We do it all the time. So, just depends. Let me switch guitars, because I need a different guitar for the other mixes that I'm doing. I'm just trying not to scratch one of my guitars here. Such a tight fit. I'll play a couple more mixes for you guys, and then we can really really run this thing through its paces here. Hopefully the blend is good with these. Let me go back to the old standard. I'm just going to do some of the old standards here. 1 second. Yep, I'm home. I'm home. Yep. If you're on a budget and you really want to find an amp that suits your taste and you don't really have to sacrifice tone, because you know how it is. You get a lower cost type amp and you're like, it doesn't sound that good, but I mean, it'll work. You're not going to deal with that with the MT15. It really does sound absolutely fantastic. It feels great, especially when you push with an overdrive. I mean, it's just great. For the price, you can't beat it. God, is that amp good. It's just so cool. Like, I haven't played it in a while, and I'm like, tonight, I'm like, why? Why haven't I played it in a while? So, all these are great. You know, the MT15's great. The JJ's great. If you like the HBE type style of gain and tone, that's also great. They all worked. They all did the same thing tonight. They all did it in their way in all the mixes that I played, and they all performed very well. It just depends on what you liked better in those mixes, and what I liked better in the mixes. How did the amp respond to my playing? How did it sound to my ears? And again, tonight, you know, the PRS MT15 sounded best to me, but it doesn't mean that these other two products like the HBE and the Double J Friedman are not as good or not good. No, they're great. They're great. I'm just trying to help people out because, again, we're all on a budget. Some of our budgets are tighter than others, and it just depends on what you're looking for and how much you have to spend. And I want you guys to always be able to come to this channel and be able to get the truth. If you're looking for a budget amp or you're looking for a high-end amp, I'll tell you like what I think anyways, and whatever that's worth to you, weigh that in. And again, these are just my opinions. I'm not the god of anything. I don't know it all. I don't, please don't go by just what I say. I would definitely take my opinion with a grain of salt or even a pillar of salt, but go into a store and try things out, A/B things, and make your own choice. And whatever you buy, I honestly, the only thing I hope is that it works for you. It's the best thing that works for you, because a lot of you watching this here or even on the rewatch might disagree with me and go, yeah, for me the Friedman's like definitely the one I would buy. Good. I'm glad that you were able to hear that on the show and that it pointed out the things, because we all have different boxes that we want gear to check. And I know that all of the stuff I played tonight, as far as the HBE and the Synergy, the JJ Jr. and the PRS MT15 will check a lot of boxes for you, and one of these will check either all or most out of these three. So I really hope that that helped you guys tonight with all this kind of stuff. Yeah, I'm out of whiskey, so now I'm drinking boring stuff. Let me catch up with the chat here. Again, if I missed some of your comments, I apologize. Feel free to repeat them. They get kind of lost in the shuffle while I'm playing and stuff. So, Aaron says he bought a Super Kraken based on my opinion. No, I appreciate that, the kind words on that. And the Super Kraken is freaking stupid. It's an amazing amp. It's so good. There's a boutique amp that's around $2,000. I think it's like $1,900, and it's worth every penny, because for me it checks all the boxes. It has great tone. I love the gain structure on it. It sounds absolutely amazing. It feels amazing. It looks really cool. It's very classy looking. It's built well. They're all, they're not subbed out. They're built in England. By Martin Kidd, who's a great amp builder. And they have a lot of great features. You got different voicing switches on them. You even have a built-in boost, which would work for probably 50 to 60% of the people that buy it. Great feature. It has an awesome clean channel that can also work as a crunch channel, and the lead channel is glorious. It's absolutely glorious. Gain for days, amazing channel. And it has MIDI and all the switches, every switch on that amplifier that changes the voicing, that turns a channel from clean to crunch, that turns the boost on and off. All those switches are MIDI controllable, as well as the channel changing switches and assigning each channel to 2 master volumes. So I mean, that amp literally checks all the boxes. And it has a resonance button on the back, not a knob, but you open that resonance up on there if you're playing a smaller cab. Oh my God, the fullness is all there. Like, they thought of everything, you know, they really did. And Rabia Masad was part of the deal of making that. And Rabia plays out a lot. That guy's a killer guitar player, very versatile player, awesome guy. And he was just one of those guys that was just like, I want it all. I want an amp that'll do everything. And man, the Super Kraken does that and more. So I'm honored to own that amp. That is a killer amp, and I have to thank Jerry Chris for helping me out with that. I really appreciate that very, very much. I don't deserve that amp, but I have it, and I'm just floored that I have it. It's just an amazing amplifier. Okay, so just catching up to you guys, sorry. Looks like you guys are all talking to each other, which is good. I'm glad you guys are hanging out and having a good time. Hey, Gravel Rocks, what's going on, buddy? He said the PRS MT15 used to be $650 and still the tariff until the tariff kicked in, and now it's $729. Oh, I didn't know that. Interesting. Okay. It's still very affordable though. Man, what a killer amp. I just played 4 songs on it and I'm just like blown away at the price and the quality of tone and everything. It's great. John Patrick Lucas saying, generally speaking, Alice in Chains fans, rock players, will prefer the Friedman. You're right. You're right. While extreme heavier players will prefer the Tremonti. No, you're so right. I mean, and that's the thing. Like, the Friedman stuff is made for like straight up rock and roll. You know, it's just rock, maybe some grunge, maybe some. You know, it's very versatile, but it will do metal. But I prefer, because I'm a metal player, I'm prog metal, so I'm weird metal. So I prefer something that's got a little more aggression, and the PRS MT15 just does it for me, for what I do. So, yeah. Aaron Shortis says, I don't know, it's half the price, half the size, and it sounded much better. I mean, it sounds better to me too, because that's what I look for, but it, you know, doesn't mean I don't like the Friedman. I do like the Friedman. It's good. It's, again, it's the best I've ever had a Friedman sound in my, because I took it home and spent some time with it, and it's the best I've ever had one sound. So I'm impressed with it. I'm definitely encouraged with how good they sounded tonight. Very much. See, I'm just catching up. Sorry about the silence here. Clean channel with tube screamer. Okay, so like the gain setting on the PRS right now is the lead channel. I have the gain at 1 o'clock, so it's just over noon, and it definitely has tons of gain for me. So I love it. I think it sounds great. Let's see. Wow, a lot of comments here. I'm trying to catch up to you guys here. Yeah, and that Kraken's 27. The Super Crack is 100 watts at 27 pounds. And it's about the same size as the Friedman here. It's a little bit bigger. God, it's a freaking killer amp. Okay, Damien is asking, would you buy a Jet City amp made by Soldano? I haven't played one yet. Good question. I have never played a Jet City. I've heard good things about them. I will have the Soldano SLOs in here soon, the new ones. They'll have the 30 and the 100, and I'm going to shoot those out and have fun with those. I've never played a Soldano except for my Soldano module that's in the my Synergy rig, and I love that. So if it sounds like that, yeah, it's going to be awesome. So like I think that's a good option though for people that don't want to spend $1,500 or $2,500 on a Soldano 30 watt. You're better off getting the Synergy because it's the same thing except it's in a module. So and it's made by Mike Soldano too. So that's a good way to get around that. Just reading comments here. Okay. All right. Well, it's wow. It's 10:38. It's almost 11 o'clock. Holy crap! Yeah, I got started late tonight. Again, I apologize for that. I literally had horrible technical difficulties, but I'm glad that I went live because at least we got a chance to hang out. And I got a chance to do the Friedman JJ Jr., the MT15 by PRS, and the Synergy Friedman HBE module. So we got to do some mixes and stuff like that. So I hope this was beneficial to you guys. I hope you guys enjoyed it very much. Please give me a like if you like this video. We always are open to take super chats because believe me, the amount of work that goes into these videos is crazy. Like I'm live for like 2 to 3 hours, and it's several hours to get it set up. So I appreciate all that very much. Now I got to change the thumbnail because the Friedman the JJ 100 is not in tonight's episode. So I got to change the thumbnail. So I got more work to do. Anyways, well, thank you very much for watching, guys. Really, very much appreciate it. And we look forward to seeing you guys on Sunday. Carrie and I will be hanging out with you guys, so look forward to that. So Sunday night we go live at 7 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. So again, thank you all so much for hanging out. I'm glad that we went live and we had a chance to do this. And I will catch you guys on Sunday night at 7 Eastern Standard Time. Until then, I will see you guys later. Love y'all. God bless you. And we'll see you soon. Take care.